Today, Chris McGee sits down with NBA vet Steve Nash to discuss his groundbreaking charitable causes, his future in the league, and the immediate future for the Lakers. You are connected with Steve Nash.
Steve, it's been a busy summer for the Los Angeles Lakers. Some new acquisitions, Nick Young, Chris Kaman. What are your thoughts on the moves the organization has made?
Well, I mean, it's a mad scramble in many ways because we're a team that's at the cap. We lose Dwight, and we've got to fill a roster, and so, it's almost like a game of dominoes, and we try to pick up some pieces that can help the team. I feel good about it. Chris Kaman gives us a really skilled big man with a lot of size. Nick Young's a streaky scorer. They can get hot and win us some games. It's sad to see guys go, but at the same time, you get excited and enthused by new bodies and new skills and mentality, so it's going to be fun.
And the new guys that we've talked to, like Nick Young, they really want to be here. Mm-hmm. And it seems like there's a lot of guys with something to prove on the team, whether it's a one-year contract. Mm-hmm. That could be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, frankly, we all got a lot to prove. Last year was a disaster in my books. We won a lot of games the second half of the year, but we never really had that commonality, that connection, that spirit that would allow us to take another step as a team. And obviously, a lot of that's the injuries. It never really gave us a chance to come together. But I look at last year really poorly, and it makes me incredibly inspired to try to do something better this year.
People asked me when I told them where I was in New York and watched your event, how'd Steve look? So I'm going to ask you, how's the health? How you feeling? Because to me, you look good.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I'm coming along. I've been working my butt off. I've been up working with a physiotherapist in Vancouver I've worked with for 12 years, and we've been training twice a day, basically for 40 days since the season ended. And I'm getting better. That's the bottom line. I'm not 100%, but I'm close, and I feel like by the end of this month, I'll probably be 100%, and then I've still got 2 months to train. But the good part is I've been able to train around it a lot. So while I'm still not 100%, I've been able to improve in a lot of other areas that I think will help me a lot when I get back.
I wanted to ask you this question because, let's be honest, you're two-time MVP, future Hall of Famer. Everyone in the media, we all know you're one of the great teammates of all time. But at your age and because of last year, do you feel like you personally have something to prove?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, you look at the resume and people think, well, what has he got to prove? But for me, I've been an underdog in the game of basketball since I was a kid. So that you never shed that mentality. I feel in a lot of ways as an underdog every single day. So, I still obviously have a lot of confidence. I believe in myself. I know what I've accomplished. But at the same time, there's still a part of my mentality and attitude is one of an underdog.
For those of us that watched you every day last year, I think we understand, but maybe nationally, do people really understand how hurt you were and what that did to set you back? When you came back, you really just thrown back into it. Never really got to recover?
No, I just didn't get to really prepare. And I came in great shape. First game of the season, I basically break my leg, missed 7 weeks, practiced for a half hour twice after 7 weeks and play the rest of the year until, I had the nerve issue, probably because I was, kind of flew right back into it. But that life happens, right? And it's how you respond. And I'm definitely take note that wasn't good enough. Got to find a way to be better this year.
For the future Hall of Famer and two-time MVP, finding a way to get better was not part of the plan as he prepares for his second season in Los Angeles. Nash's signing last year, along with the addition of Dwight Howard, created a team which on paper was primed to compete for championships.
I want to be great in my own right. I want to write my own history. And, today is the first day, of that history. Not a lot of guys get this opportunity. And I'm going to make the most of them and the best of it.
But after a season plagued with injuries and the Lakers' first-round exit from the playoffs, Dwight Howard became the focus and the biggest name in the NBA free agent market.
I'm going to take my time, get away from the game, get away from my phones and everything, and just clear my head.
Keeping the much-talked-about center became the franchise's biggest offseason goal. The efforts to retain Dwight included a face-to-face meeting with many key members of the Lakers organization, including Kobe Bryant and Steve Nash.
Obviously, you're not going to share any intimate moments that happened in that meeting, but now that you've had some time to think about it a little bit and it's in the past, what are your feelings on how it went down and why you ended up leaving?
I feel, for a lot of the season, I didn't feel like he wanted to be here. It was only at the end of the year that I thought, maybe he does want to be here, foolishly, perhaps. And came to the free agents period where we were going to meet with him, and it just seemed like all the press leading up to it was that he was gone. So for me to look back on the season and feel for the most part that he wasn't happy here and that he didn't want to be here, you know, it seemed to make sense. And you know, I think the meeting gave us a chance. You know, I think it made him think it over a little bit harder, but ultimately he didn't want to be here, and I've moved on. You know, I wish him the best, but you know, let's try to build a team here and do something positive.
Yeah, I mean, fans get their feelings hurt. Like, how can a guy leave? But for you, I mean, at least you got your shot to talk to him, and you want to play with guys that ultimately want to be here.
Right. I mean, you know, one of my pitches to him is if I were 27 in the prime of my career and I had a chance to sign with the Lakers, I mean, it'd be a done deal. So, you know, for me, at any stage, I see the value and the experience, the opportunity to play for the Lakers, this fan base, live in this part of the world. It's unparalleled in my opinion. So I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm thrilled to play with these guys that are here on this roster that want to be here with me.
Coming up on Connected With.
You've known Kobe Bryant a long time, competed against each other, and now you played with him for a year. How do you think he responds to this injury in a way he comes back?
You are watching Connected With.
Bryant again going to work, falls down. Yeah, he's struggling. It has seemed to be his knee, his foot, his ankle, and now his Achilles.
I don't think he's going to be able to do what he did the last two times where he ran it off and was able to play with the pain. Kobe needs a timeout here as he's having some discomfort trying to get to the sideline. He immediately grabbed for that left Achilles area. Again, he's at the line to shoot free throws.
He is literally on his last leg right now. He's going to shoot the free throws. Got it. So Kobe Bryant cannot continue. You'll never question the heart, the emotion, the grit, the tenacity of that guy.
It's pissed and sad. You know, worked really hard to get to this point. It's pissed.
You've known Kobe Bryant a long time, competed against each other, and now you played with him for a year. How do you think he responds to this injury in a way he comes back?
Well, I mean,
and I know it's hard to tell because...
Yeah, you never know. I mean, he might really struggle, but if I had to put my money on it, I would say sky's the limit. I mean, you know, he's, as we've seen, as determined and focused as there are out there, and you know, I have no doubts he'll find a way to exceed everyone's expectations.
You, Pau, Kobe, with something to prove. Should people not be writing Lakers off? It's almost like a
you know what? I don't mind. You know,
Yeah.
I don't mind people writing us off. I think that maybe after last year, where we came in where we could only win, or it was a loss. You know, we do. I mean, one, I think it's not bad perspective to be flying under the radar, but two, we do have a lot to prove. We do have a lot to figure out. You know, where is Kobe going to be with his health? You know, I expect to be fine very soon, but where am I going to be? Where's Powell going to be with his health after surgery? How's the rest of the roster going to round out? And how are we going to make this thing work? I mean, that to me is the pivotal question of every season of every team is how do you guys figure this thing out and build a team? Whether you win the championship or whether you exceed expectations, you've got to find a way to build a team, find commonality, spirit, drive, and play together. I think that was one ingredient we didn't have last year.
You know, I think you hit on something, and you know, my whole life I've always been a role player guy. You know, so for me, I've always thought whether I'm coaching or playing, chemistry or in my work life, chemistry is the most important thing. I remember your son's team in 2010 that went 6 games with the Lakers. I mean, that's chemistry right there. How important is that?
It's huge. You know, I mean, I think, you know, all the teams that get to the finals, I mean, look at the Spurs. Who picked them to go to the finals?
Yeah.
I mean, phenomenal chemistry. You know, I think the Heat, you know, great chemistry. I mean, I feel like I can see it when I watch them play. And, you know, I think that's what happens. Dallas that won it 3 years ago. I mean, just phenomenal chemistry and know-how out there together. I mean, so you got to find a way to get that little something extra, that little something special between the players, whether you have the most talent or not. You want to overachieve. You want to play better than people think you are. And, you know, that's a great goal for us this year.
Coming up on Connected With.
Mike D'Antoni, how crucial and how important is it for him to have that training camp and knowing that, hey, this is my team, not coming in after 5 games or 6 games into a tough situation?
You are watching Connected With Steve Nash. After a 1-4 start to the season, the Lakers fired their head coach, Mike Brown. His replacement, a familiar face to Steve Nash and his former coach with the Phoenix Suns, Mike D'Antoni.
Nash, sir. What's up, big fella? Great to see you, man. Good to see you. I'm all right. I'm not worried about me. How about you? Well, you know, it's been 4 years and I haven't coached him, and he's just a breath of fresh air. He's just super to coach, great teammate again. All of them are. All right, guys, let's go real quick. Let's get guard Duhon, get a ball. Steve, you guard him, and then how we go, Kobe. Walk through you the two. You know, I know it's a lot thrown at us, and I'm trying to keep it, you know, easy. We just got to make sure tomorrow we're here mentally and ready to roll and bust some ass and should be fresh. First day is great. Met everybody and got with the players a little bit and able to put out our vision of what we want to get accomplished, but great first day.
Mike D'Antoni, how crucial and how important is it for him to have that training camp and knowing that, hey, this is my team, not coming in after 5 games or 6 games into a tough situation?
Totally, it's huge. I mean, not only to not have the time, but we were training to be a team that was playing a totally opposite type game to the one that he's accustomed to. Guys were injured, so not only did he not have time with the guys, even when we got going and he got here, he didn't have time with the guys because we didn't have enough bodies to practice a lot, and we also didn't have a lot of guys on the court to get time and reps together. So it was tough for him. I think, you know, he's got a lot to prove like the rest of us. I think he'll be fired up for the season. You
know, at the end of the year, you see Pau Gasol get a couple triple-doubles, and all of a sudden he's looking like the Pau that everyone remembered and loved, and that was at the Olympics, that won 2 championships. Expect him to have a good year and a big year, healthy?
If Pau's healthy, he's going to be great this year. I have no doubt in my mind. So, you know, I think he's got to get himself right because he had the surgery and procedure, and he's dealing with a few things, but I think he will, and he'll be great.
Every guy I've ever known that played with Metta World Peace loved him. He's come into our studio, done shows. Great guy, great teammate. Always hard to say goodbye to those type guys. It is part of the business, but it's always a bummer.
Yeah, it sucks. You know, it's awful to say goodbye to teammates, but especially one like Metta who, you know, is just great to be around, you know, almost always smiling and happy, works hard, you know, very unselfish guy. You know, we're going to miss him.
Yeah, I mean, he's had some great moments in Laker uniform. Of course, you remember the weird tip in Game 5, how he would get there. And then, of course, Game 7 against Boston. So I think Laker fans will always, and the guys will always respect, and you know, he'll be part of that history.
Yeah, he's definitely served this franchise and community well.
For Nash, Los Angeles is the 3rd franchise as he enters his 18th season in his NBA career. After being drafted by Phoenix in 1996, Nash played 2 seasons with the Suns, then spent 6 years with the Dallas Mavericks before returning to the Suns as a free agent. In each city he's played in, his accomplishments on the court have always been complemented with his charitable outreach to the community, an ongoing effort which he has brought to Los Angeles.
Hey, how are you? Hi, guys.
Hello.
I'm Steve. How you doing? Okay, so we're wrapping trees here.
Let's get them laid down, wrap them up.
You know, it's great for us to get a chance to do things in the community. I think it's the relationship. It's the ability to show people that, you know, you're just like them and that, you know, you're normal and simple and you like to be a part of this community.
You want to hand that to him,
Yeah,
Nolan?
sure.
I'll stick it in the
Okay,
bag.
let's get it in there, buddy. Here you go, Nolan.
All right.
Enjoy that tree. You know, it's great to provide people with an education and with trees so that they can harvest their own fruit in their yard.
So here we go. Get our shovels out.
This is great. I mean, for the Lakers to get involved in the community that supports them, for us players to get out and interact with people in our community and be a part of the community, it's a great opportunity. So I had a great time today planting trees with everybody. It's a good-looking tree. It was good today to get back to my roots.
All right.
Why are you so passionate about this?
Well, I love kids, you know, first of all. You know, they're so impressionable. They're so, you know, they're so full of life. They're so honest. They're us at our best in many ways, and then life gets a hold of you, and it's how you deal with it. So to be able to help kids, whether they're struggling with different, you know, health or societal issues or not, but to be able to help them, you know, gain the mechanisms or characteristics to cope with life in any facet is a phenomenal thing that I have a lot of passion for.
Coming up on Connected With, Steve Nash.
What's the future look like for you? Father 3, love being a dad. couple years left. Love the production side of things. Meat Hawk Productions?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's, if you can, what's the future for Steve Nash?
Yeah, I mean, it's all out there to be figured out.
You are watching Connected with Steve Nash. One of the signature events put on by Steve Nash is the Steve Nash Foundation Showdown, which unites stars from soccer and the NBA together to raise funds towards the goal of helping underprivileged children. The annual, charitable, star-studded soccer game has been played for 6 years in New York. This year also marks the first game to be played in Los Angeles as well.
This is great for the community. Just here to support Steve Nash.
Steve has the best foundation in the NBA.
We thought it would be a dream come true for us, but we could also raise some money for charity, bring some great people together, and it's just been a win-win all around.
All right, everybody listen up. We're gonna head over now, we're gonna walk. When we get there, there'll be media. If you don't mind, talk to the media, talk to the fans. In about 20 minutes, we'll clear them off the field, we'll warm up a little bit, and we'll play.
To bring the showdown to LA, what was the decision behind that, and how important is it to the foundation?
Well, it's huge for the foundation to be able to have an event here. For me, being a Laker, it was like a great opportunity for me to do something in the community. I believe wholeheartedly in my foundation, but also getting immersed in the communities you live in. So the opportunity to live in this great community in Southern California and to do something with my foundation for children and to get the community together in order to do something positive is huge for me, but also big for the foundation and the mission and cause that we have adopted.
It's so cool to now have it on both coasts.
It is, yeah. I feel lucky. I mean, we've had 6 showdowns in New York, and to by happenstance to be a Laker now, to be able to do it in LA, the 2 biggest markets, and really tons of soccer fans in both markets, and obviously there's basketball fans everywhere in our country.
So I went to the one in New York. It was my first time going to your event, and I wanted to ask you this because it was such a great vibe, great game. Everyone had so much fun. Is it amazing for you to see how far it's come?
It is. I mean, I think it's sometimes you take for granted to have something go 6 years in itself is phenomenal. That's not an easy thing to do, and I think that it really belongs to everybody involved, not just me or my foundation. We get so many people that help us, tons of volunteers, dozens and dozens of volunteers. We have incredible sponsors every year in, year out. In New York, the Parks Department and the city help us out. Here, the Red Shield Community Center, is someone that we're going to help each other to make this work. So there's just so many great partnership synergies and getting the community out. And we are able to sell sponsorships, but we're also able to make the event free for the public, so anyone can come and watch. And that makes it really fun for me. Bringing great athletes from around the world to play in a little park in a neighborhood instead of in a stadium. It gives people a chance to be up close and personal with people that they may never get a chance to see in person.
And it's genius because you got these great soccer stars from around the world with some NBA guys who all play so hard. So the game's a fun game. I mean, Joakim Noah. How about his goal?
I mean, Joakim was great. I mean, I think you could tell. I mean, 6'11", with high tops on, it's not easy. And he was pretty good. I mean, you could tell that he had some soccer in his background. His touch wasn't bad. He scored a great goal. His celebration was priceless.
Noah, will he score? Noah, Yucky Noah's got it, and the USA takes an 8-7 lead finally. There's that energy. Look at Noah. He just won the NBA championship.
It is a fun event. I think we've always tried to make it so that there is like a competitive bone in there so that the fans really can enjoy it and get into it. And it's not one of ththose kind of all-star games where it has huge lulls forever. So it is fun. I mean, for me, it's kind of like a highlight of my summer just to get out there and play with these guys.
Is it cool for you to see how hard these guys play? I mean, for me, I've never rooted for Noah, and then getting to know him and interviewing him, like, this guy's awesome. But I mean, for you, that's got to be pretty cool that they come out there and care so much.
It is.
Because they're doing it for you in the foundation.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, it's phenomenal that they come out and they play hard. And, even some of the guys in the past who aren't very good at all, just their sportsmanship, the fact that they can laugh at themselves, the crowd loves it. So, whether a guy can actually play a little bit and is playing hard, or whether a guy is just, going to put himself out there and not be afraid to embarrass himself or be the butt of a few jokes, that's an incredible contribution to what we're trying to accomplish.
It's cool for us because Galaxy are one of our teams as well, for you to have Galaxy playing in this event. Is it important to have that Laker-Galaxy connection?
It's great. I mean, there's so many synergies between the Lakers and the Galaxy, whether it's Time Warner or AEG or different things and events that we're, linked by. So to have those guys out here, they're a big part of the community, soccer community in particular, is fantastic. And, there's some great players too, so it really helps the event.
What's the future look like for you? Father of 3, love being a dad.
Yeah.
Couple years left. Love the production side of things. Meat Hawk Productions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's, if you could, what's the future for Steve Nash?
Yeah, I mean, it's all out there to be figured out, but I mean, definitely, love being a dad. I'm a very hands-on dad. I'm with them all, all day except for when I'm training. So, that's a huge part of my life. My foundation's a huge part of my life that I would like to go on past my career. The production, filmmaking is something that's been a real spark of interest and creativity and education for me. So I'd like that to keep going as well.
Where do you want to see the showdown in 5 years?
Well,
I mean, long-term?
Yeah, that's a good question because, in some ways, I don't want to say limiting. We're limited because of the venue, but we want to keep it and have a neighborhood feel. So what I would like to see the showdown in 5 years is to, bring on more great athletes, get more guys involved, have the game, have the best of the best, and really put on a show for people. And you do that in a small venue by word of mouth. Partners like Time Warner who want to broadcast the event. AEG, big movers that can, make it a special event in a really special location like a community center or just a field in the streets of Manhattan. So to keep the essence of what it is now, but to attract and spread more of the word, the quality of the game just has to keep getting better.
The game is an important part of it because that's what I thought when I went home. I told people, man, the game was great. It's like 9-7 and guys are playing hard. I think that's such a huge point. But I loved all the kids around the fence. It just had a really, like you said, that neighborhood feel.
I think if the game's able to keep that neighborhood feel, but at the same time grow in popularity, you get more ability to draw and attract, better players, which attracts better sponsors, which attracts more money. Then you can do more things for kids, and I think that's the ultimate goal. So it goes back though to putting on a great show, having a great product, and making it an event that people talk about.
Can I be invited in 5 years? I mean, I'd love to sign a long-term contract.
Yeah, you should. You should be our broadcaster forever.
Thanks, man.
You got it.